starts off with, early on in the body of the master plan, with it is essential to preserve our neighborhoods. It is essential to preserve the character of the existing neighborhoods. It doesn't say that once. It says it more than a dozen times. And when I went through the master plan, and I read it carefully several times, and I flagged it, I noticed that as early as page 5 of the master plan, once again, at the public workshop that was held on June 27, 2012. You have to forgive me, I try to deny that I make glasses. I try to deny it, but I can't help it. So the first workshop was June 27, 2012, more than 2 years ago, and the mayor's right. This is a body of work that took over 2 years to develop. But even back then, at the Community Baptist Church, there was a discussion about the need to preserve and protect the integrity of the existing neighborhoods or residential neighborhoods. And there is a great burden, the tax burden on the residential properties, on the residents, and it should be shifted to more aggressive, more progressive, more comprehensive retail and industrial and medical facilities, but not at the cost of the residents. In this particular ordinance, this -41 ordinance, we find objection with the concept of enlarging the townhouse zone, the RMA zone, enlarging it only by 2 parcels along Palisade Avenue up towards Boynton Street, Brayton Street. And I will say that there was a correction made. But, Mr. Bailey, this was not just a typo error. There was a map that, of course, is impossible for me to read because of its size. But when I did go to the last mayor and council meeting, Mr. Albert had the enlarged map and shared it with us, and I was able to see it more clearly. You have a colored map which outlines different zones, and there's a light vanilla colored section that helps you to identify some of the zones. And now that it was pointed out to me on the enlarged map, and now that I can see this map a little more carefully, the text of your ordinance incorporated 3 properties to be included to enlarge the townhouse, and yet the map only showed 2 of them. And I do understand that at the planning board meeting last week, and for clarification was placed on the record, that notwithstanding the written text of the ordinance, the corner lot on Brayton Street is not to be included in the proposed change to expand the RMA zone. And for that, we're very appreciative. Those people that live in that area know how important it is that if you bring that corner property into play, you now address the streetscape of the side streets and such, and that encroachment. But I don't think that there's a proper justification for bringing the zone northerly up to include, even though it's only 2 parcels. And I heard that there's 8,500 parcels in the community, that this is only 2 parcels. There's really no justification, because when I read the master plan and I read the studies, it talks about the potential use of townhouses or multiple families as a transitional use to separate the residential zones from the non-residential zones. That is, residential properties that border commercial properties or industrial properties. And it would be an intelligent and good use to create a buffer, to create a screen, which would be townhouses. That might make sense. Some attached housing that would separate the single-family zone from a non-residential or commercial zone. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is that we're taking the townhouse zone and we're just bringing it 2 properties to the north. What purpose does that serve to the general benefit of the community? And lastly, when you read the master plan, and it talks about the townhouse zone as transitional between residential and commercial, it also talks about transitional in close proximity to the downtown. These 2 parcels are about a half a mile north of the downtown.
East.
East, I'm sorry. So, I could go on in greater detail. It is not my intent to lecture the governing body. It's not my intent to relive it, because I believe that you have done an extraordinary job already, and you've reviewed the master plan carefully, and you've adopted these comprehensive ordinances. But I will say that just because the ordinance says it's consistent with the master plan, doesn't make it consistent. It is in fact inconsistent with several of the terms and goals of the master plan. I will also point out to you that although I read the master plan several times, I focused